Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about the 5 biggest mistakes that we make when we're boxing. I'm Diana from Box It Out. I run a fitness boxing business and basically my whole aim is to make sure that you love who you see in the mirror. So to do that, we go through a lot of our boxing and make sure we get our stress relief and make sure we get all those endorphins kind of running. So I want to go through the 5 biggest mistakes that we make when we're boxing. This can apply to you whether you box with boxing bags, whether you box with pad holders, or whether you box kind of in a ring going for the fighting scene, or whether you're just a fitness boxer like my members. So number 5 is footwork. All right, so footwork is so important. We want to make sure that when we're punching, we're not just punching with our arms. Okay, boxing is a full body workout. The human body is designed to move as one. We're not designed to just move our arms or just move our legs. All right, when we walk, we do more than just move our legs. We do more than just pick up our feet. Yes, we want to make sure that our feet, our hips, our knees are all constantly moving. So as you're in your boxing stance, you want to make sure that we're not just punching with arms, all right? The whole body is moving. So the knees are moving, the hands are moving. We've got a bit of motion in those shoulders as well. We're moving from our core. Everything is moving as one. As well as that, you should be light on your feet, and ideally you would have one heel up all the time, all right? So if you're punching with your left hand, ideally your left heel would be up. If you're punching with your right hand, ideally your right heel would be up. So that's for footwork. Number 4 is not recoiling punches or recoiling in circles, okay? So a lot of people will recoil their punches in a circle, or they just leave them on the pad altogether, yeah? So when we do our punches, we wanna make sure that we are recoiling directly towards our face all the time, okay? We wanna spend as little time out from the body and as much into the body, okay? So what that means is we wanna stay in our guard all the time. After we punch, we're not gonna leave it there on the pad. We're not gonna punch through the pad. We're gonna punch and come straight back every single time. It's nice and fast, all right? If someone is quite tall, what happens is they tend to punch downwards and then they recoil up. So what that looks like, if someone's quite tall, they punch down and recoil up. They're kind of punching in this action. So it's this kind of flick at the end that they get, which we don't want to do. If someone is quite short, they do the opposite, okay? So they punch up and they recoil down. So they punch up and recoil down. They do this kind of action, yeah? So we want to make sure at all times we punch directly towards the pads or directly towards the bag, and then we get straight back to our face. Every time, it's always coming back to our guard, all right? Number 3, which goes along with our recoiling of our punches, is not aiming and then consequently not connecting on the pads. So we want to make sure that if you're boxing on bags, you can have a heavy bag, you can have a light bag, could be connected to the ground or not connected to the ground, so it's got more swing. If you're boxing with a pad holder, they could be tall or short or whatever. There's all these different variables. We want to make sure that we're adjusting to each person or each bag, and we need to ask for what we need in terms of resistance, but we don't ask in terms of, can you bring the pads closer to my face? That's not how it works, okay? Pad holder should be in control and should always be safe. If I'm pad holding for you, I've got a jab cross, I've got hooks, I've got uppercuts. I'm not coming out here for an uppercut, I'm not coming out here for a hook. It's not what it's there for, right? Everything is in nice and close. So I like to say when you're pad holding, you're gonna have little T-Rex arms, keep your elbows to yourself, okay? Do not give your elbows to someone else. Your job as the boxer is to punch the pads, okay? It doesn't matter how short I am or how tall someone else is. You need to make sure that if you're doing an uppercut, for example, you need to get underneath that. It's not up to the the pad holder. For me, I'm quite short. It's not up to me to go and stand on a box and stand up here with my hand this high for you to do an uppercut. It's my chin height. You need to come to me, and that's what you need to be practicing, all right? So pad holders are not there to cater to your hits, okay? They're not there to cater to your short hits in kind of short ranges. We want to make sure that we're aiming all the time for these pads and we're getting a good connection. So yes, there is a matter of pad holding technique. There's all these different bits and pieces that go along with that, but we want to make sure when we're boxing that we are getting to those pads every time. Make sure that you're aiming, not just throwing a punch and hoping, right? We're not going to kind of drop our hands and just hope, oh yeah, the pad's just going to be there, because it might not. When we're here, it's going to be much better, all right? Number 2, breathing. So breathing is super important, and most people forget to breathe. What happens, right? They start their boxing, they take a huge breath in and box until the timer ends, right? Or until the number of reps ends. So they kind of just go, notice what happens, right? When you breathe in, your shoulders come towards your ears, and you're going to really tighten up that neck all the time. So there's so many times I'm telling people, just relax, all right? Boxing should be fun, it should be easy, it should be a nice, relaxed body as we're doing it. So we want to make sure that when we're breathing, you can pick, I found it really helpful to pick one of two things. First one is breathing every single punch, all right? So what it looks like as we're boxing, getting into your boxing stance, got your guard up nice and high, you're gonna make sure you're breathing out every time you throw a punch, okay? So you wanna make sure that it's loud, all right? We don't just want, right? You need to be able to hear it, right? That exhale gets you a lot of power. The second technique that you can use is picking a number. So for me, it's the number 3. So you punch rather for 3 breaths, and then you breathe in for 3 breaths. So you want to make sure that that number feels good for you. So if you need to pick a different number, do so. But 3 is a really good one to start off with. So what it looks like is, so every time you've got 3 in, 3 out, every time you punch, you need to breathe, okay? So pick a technique on breathing and stick with it. All right, and the number one thing, the absolutely number one thing, is the biggest mistake people make with boxing is their lack of consistency. All right, so you always want to be improving your technique. You always want to be practicing. If you're not getting to a boxing class more than 3 or 4 times a week, you need to be practicing at home, okay? 3 is the absolute minimum, all right? So we want to make sure that you're always improving. Doesn't matter what it is, right? I've been boxing for about 6 years now. I've been doing martial arts for about 3 to 4 of those, about 3.5. So we want to make sure that every time we go, we're improving on our technique. Doesn't matter what happens or how long I've been doing it. There are times when I can improve every single time, right? Sorry, there are elements rather that I can improve every single time. So we want to make sure that we're putting that work in and we're being consistent, okay? The more often you come, the better results that you will get, and the quicker that your technique is going to get better, okay? It's going to look better, you're going to feel better, and you're going to be moving the whole body as one motion, as one kind of one machine, which is exactly how we want to go. So you can't be upset with the results that you didn't get because of the work you didn't do, all right? So you need to make sure that you show up, you do the work, and you get the results. I have noticed that in my boxing with my clients, those who are only coming, say, twice a week, it takes them probably about 18 months to actually look good, all right? Their technique just does not quite get better because they're not coming frequently enough, okay? It's not, being, I guess, cemented into like our CNS, like frequently enough. We need to make sure that we get those habits down and get them down quick. So for those who are coming more frequently, so I generally find anyone who's coming at least 4 times a week, they get really good in about 6 months, all right? They start to look good, they start to get really good technique, their recoil becomes really good, their breathing, and it becomes much more effortless, it becomes less hard, okay? So it's not just coming along and having an absolute slog and getting out of breath all the time, all right? It becomes much easier the more frequently you come, so make sure you stay consistent. That's it, guys. Those are my 5 biggest boxing mistakes that I see all the time. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want more videos like this. And also follow the link in the description to submit your questions, and I'd love to answer them for you. I'm Gianna from Box It Out. That's all. See you.